Level 1. The Golden Crib. You were born on June 14, 1946, in Jamaica Hospital in Queens, New York. Your father's name is Fred. He is not warm. He is not gentle. He's a machine, a relentless, calculating real estate machine who builds affordable housing in Brooklyn and Queens and counts every nail and every dollar and expects his sons to do the same. The house you grow up in is a 23-room mock Tudor mansion in Jamaica Estates. You are not poor. You will never be poor. But you are also never quite enough for Fred Trump. And that gap, that specific father-shaped gap, will drive every decision you make for the rest of your life. You were loud from the beginning, combative. You throw a birthday cake at a friend when you were 2 years old. At 13, your father ships you off to the New York Military Academy in Cornwall-on-Hudson because the public schools cannot contain you. You thrive there, not because of the discipline, but because of the competition. You are good at baseball. You are better at dominating a room. You learn early that the loudest person is usually mistaken for the most important one. You file that lesson away, and you never forget it. Level 2. The Apprentice. Fordham University for 2 years, then the Wharton School of Finance at the University of Pennsylvania. You graduate in 1968. You tell people for the rest of your life that Wharton is the best business school in the world and that you were at the top of your class. Your classmates do not remember you as a standout. You receive 4 student draft deferments for college and a 5th for a medical condition, bone spurs in your heels, and you do not go to Vietnam. 58,000 Americans do go and do not come back. You go to work for your father instead. Fred lends you, by various accounts, at least $1 million to start. Some estimates say the total family transfers over your lifetime will reach $413 million. You will later say you built everything yourself with a small loan of $1 million. The number is not the point. The story is the point. You understand before anyone else in your generation that in America, the story of a thing is more powerful than the thing itself. You move to Manhattan in the early 1970s, and you want the whole city to know your name. You buy the old Commodore Hotel next to Grand Central Terminal, a rusting wreck in a city that is going bankrupt, and you renovate it into the Grand Hyatt with a glass curtain wall that shouts its own existence at every passerby. You build Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue, and you put your name on it in 5-foot bronze letters, and you move into the top 3 floors, and you fill it with gold-veined marble, and you call it the most beautiful building in New York, and you say it often enough that people begin to agree. You are 36 years old. Your name is on the skyline. You build casinos in Atlantic City, Trump Plaza, Trump's Castle, the Taj Mahal, which you call the 8th wonder of the world when it opens in 1990. You borrow $2 billion to build it. The math does not work from the first day. Atlantic City is already declining. You know this. You build anyway, because the announcement is the product. The ribbon cutting is the product. The name on the marquee in lights is the product. When the Taj Mahal goes bankrupt in 1991, you are technically personally liable for nearly $1 billion in debt. The banks do not foreclose. They calculate that you are worth to them alive and branded than dead and liquidated. You negotiate. You survive. You add it to the legend. Level 3. The Builder. The 1990s nearly destroy you financially. You lose the Plaza Hotel. You lose your airline. You lose most of the casinos. You are divorced from Ivana. You are divorced from Marla Maples. The tabloids eat you alive, and you feed them anyway because any headline with your name is better than no headline. You license the name Trump to buildings you do not own, to steaks, to a university, to a magazine, to a board game, to a vodka.
The name becomes the asset. The name is all you need. In 2004, NBC gives you a television show, The Apprentice, and 14 million Americans watch you sit at the head of a boardroom table and say, "You're fired." And the character you play, the all-knowing titan of business, becomes more real than the actual financial record, which is checkered at best. You host the show for 14 seasons. By the end of it, every American knows exactly who Donald Trump is, or thinks they do. That distinction will matter. Level 4, The Descent. 2011. You are on television claiming that Barack Obama was not born in the United States. The claim is false. The birth certificate exists. You repeat the claim anyway, for 5 years, loudly on every platform available to you, and millions of people believe it because you say it with the confidence of a man who has spent 60 years never being held accountable for the things he says. You are testing something. You are finding out how far the signal travels when the volume is high enough. The answer is very far, further than anyone imagined. June 16, 2015. You ride down a golden escalator in Trump Tower and announce your candidacy for President of the United States. The press laughs. The political establishment laughs. The bookmakers give you 100-to-1 odds. You have no ground game, no policy apparatus, no political experience, no filter, and no intention of acquiring any of these things. You have something else entirely. You have the attention of people who feel that the entire system has been laughing at them for decades. You point at the system. You say, "I alone can fix it." They believe you. They have been waiting for someone to say exactly that.
Level 6, The Impossible Win. You defeat 16 Republican primary opponents one by one. You give them all names: Lion Ted, Little Marco, Low Energy Jeb, and the names stick because they are cruel and precise, and because the cameras cannot look away. The Republican establishment tries to stop you and fails. In July 2016, you accept the Republican nomination in Cleveland, and you deliver the darkest acceptance speech in modern convention history. "I alone can fix it." The crowd roars. Hillary Clinton is waiting. November 8, 2016, you win 306 electoral votes. You lose the popular vote by 2.9 million. The polls were wrong. The pundits were wrong. The entire architecture of political prediction collapses in a single night. At 2:30 in the morning, Hillary Clinton calls to concede, and you walk out onto a stage in Manhattan, and your family stands behind you, and the room is in shock. Your own room, your own people, because some part of even them did not believe this was actually going to happen. You are the 45th President of the United States. You have never held elected office. You have never served in the military. You are 70 years old. You are the oldest person ever elected to a first presidential term. Level 7, the Oval Office. The weight is not what you expected, not because it is heavier, but because it is different. The presidency is not a company. You cannot fire the courts. You cannot brand your way through a pandemic. January 2017, the crowd on the National Mall is visible in the photographs, and it is not the largest in inauguration history, regardless of what you tell the press secretary to say. This is your first official act as president, insisting on a crowd size. It tells everyone who is paying attention everything they need to know about what the next 4 years will look like. You sign executive orders at a rate no modern president has matched. You withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement. You withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal. You impose tariffs on China, 25% on $250 billion of goods, and the trade war begins. You hold summits with Kim Jong-un in Singapore and Hanoi, becoming the first sitting U.S. president to meet a North Korean leader, and you shake his hand and call him talented, and the denuclearization goes nowhere, but the photographs are extraordinary.
You move the U.S. Embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. You appoint 3 Supreme Court justices, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Barrett, and reshape the federal judiciary in ways that will outlast your presidency by decades. Through it all, the tweets keep coming, 2, 3, 5, 10 a day, raw and unfiltered and impossible to ignore, and the American media cannot stop covering them because the American public cannot stop reading them, and the machine feeds itself. Level 8, the impeachments. December 18, 2019, the House of Representatives impeaches you for abuse of power and obstruction of Congress relating to a phone call with Ukrainian President Zelensky in which you withhold military aid while requesting an investigation into your political rival Joe Biden. The Senate acquits you on February 5, 2020, along almost entirely party lines. You are the 3rd president in American history to be impeached. You call it a witch hunt. You have been calling things witch hunts for 4 years. The phrase has lost its edges. Then the pandemic arrives. COVID-19 reaches the United States in January 2020. By the end of April, the country is shutting down. By the end of your presidency, over 400,000 Americans are dead. You call it the invisible enemy. You say it will disappear like a miracle. You suggest at a press briefing that injecting disinfectant might be worth looking into. Your own health officials contradict you in real time at the podium beside you. You do not wear a mask in public for months. In October 2020, you contract the virus yourself and are airlifted to Walter Reed Medical Center and treated with an experimental antibody cocktail unavailable to the general public, and you walk out 3 days later and rip off your mask on the White House balcony for the cameras. The election is 3 weeks away. Level 9, the fall. November 3, 2020, you lose the presidential election to Joe Biden by 306 to 232 electoral votes and by more than 7 million in the popular vote. You do not concede. You claim the election was stolen. You file 61 lawsuits in multiple states. You lose 60 of them. The one you win involves a minor procedural matter in Pennsylvania. Your own Attorney General, William Barr, tells you there is no evidence of widespread fraud sufficient to change the outcome. You fire him. Your own Director of Cybersecurity, Chris Krebs, calls it the most secure election in American history. You fire him too. January 6, 2021, you stand at a podium on the ellipse south of the White House, and you tell a crowd of tens of thousands of supporters to march to the Capitol and fight like hell. They march, they breach the barriers, they smash the windows, they overrun the police, they occupy the Senate chamber, they hunt for the Vice President through the corridors. Vice President Pence is evacuated. Members of Congress hide under their desks. 5 people die. The certification of the Electoral College is delayed for hours. That evening, Congress reconvenes and certifies Biden's victory. You are impeached a second time on January 13, 2021, the only president in American history impeached twice. The Senate again acquits you, this time after you have already left office. Level 10, the return. You leave the White House on January 20, 2021, without attending your successor's inauguration, the first president to skip that ceremony since Andrew Johnson in 1869. You fly to Mar-a-Lago in Florida, and you do not disappear. You endorse candidates, you hold rallies, you dominate the Republican Party from a private club in Palm Beach with the same grip you held it from the Oval Office. In August 2022, the FBI executes a search warrant at Mar-a-Lago and recovers classified documents, including materials marked top secret. You are indicted on 37 federal counts, then indicted again in Washington on charges related to January 6th, then indicted in Georgia on RICO charges, then indicted in New York on charges related to hush money payments to adult film actress Stormy Daniels. 4 criminal indictments, 91 felony counts across all cases, and your poll numbers go up every time. You understand something about your supporters that your opponents will never will, that every attack on you is to them an attack on them, and they will never abandon you for it. November 5th, 2024, you win the presidency again. 312 electoral votes. You become only the second president in American history to serve non-consecutive terms, joining Grover Cleveland. You are 78 years old. You walk back into the White House. The gold elevator doors open. The cameras follow. The system that was supposed to stop you has tried everything it had. You are still here. In the Oval Office, the phone is ringing. The crises are stacking. The world doesn't pause for anyone. Not for Lincoln, not for Nixon, not for you. The machine is indifferent to names. It will outlast this one too. The door is open. The next chapter has already begun. And somewhere out there, another name is already being written on the wall. The system was never about you. It never is. It never will be.